This Yamaha 310 that I have here may look like nothing is happening with it, but in reality it has a big problem with the bridge. Years ago the bridge was detached, apparently because the glue was not applied correctly, and the client decided to glue it by himself using probably the white glue. As a result, the bridge was never properly glued in place, and it has a big gap between the bridge and the top of the guitar. I have to address that, but there is also a big to-do list with this guitar. I'm Carlos Montoro and this is Anjuda Guitars. So probably the guitar could stay like this for years, but it is a good practice to reglue the bridge as it should be. Another thing that I have to fix is the fret leveling. As you can see, I marked some spots where the frets are a little bit higher than the others. So if I like to have a nice action in this guitar, I need to address that. As I said, I like to lower the action a little bit, but there is a problem with the bridge. If I extend this piece here with this straight, I touch the bridge instead of the saddle. As you can see here, the first string is almost horizontal. The angle here is very soft. That means that I cannot sand the saddle a little bit more to have a lower action in the first string. To address that, I need to sand the bridge instead and make room to the saddle. So all the pins go a little bit lower, I have a little bit more angle, and then I can work on the saddle. If you look here, you can see this line. This can be a big problem. So I tried to tension the truss rod and everything stayed in place. So I think it's not something that I have to worry about. But the bridge itself is also a little bit offset, it's just to the right. Finally, the fretboard is too dry and I like to make a deep clean and some hydration to it. What I'm doing here may seem crazy, but don't worry, I removed almost all the tension from the strings before cutting them. This is just an easy way to remove the strings when you are not going to use them anymore. Now I invite you to listen. Can you hear that noise? Those pins are really stuck into the bridge, and there is no need for that. It just makes your life a little bit harder because, as you are about to see, one of them is really stuck in place. This issue is more common than you may think on guitars, because it's widely thought that everything with wood has to be really tight to work properly. But most of the times is not the case, and it took me my 10 minutes to remove that pin. Now I wanted to take a look at the nut because it's glued in place, and you see here it has some marks. Somebody has been here before. I'd like to take a look at the inside to see what's going on under the bridge. These two mirrors will help me to take a look at the inside. Hard to see on camera, but there is a little hole right there between the 3rd and 4th string. I don't know how many surprises this guitar has for me. I really need to remove the saddle from the bridge, otherwise when I try to apply heat to the bridge to transfer to the top of the guitar, the bridge is going to be on the way and the heat translation is not going to be efficient. The saddle and the nut are going to be brand new, made in bone, so I don't care if I break the saddle a little bit or something happened to it. Lucky for me, looks like it was only too tight. Now it's when the real deal is going to happen. So according with the client, what we have here is white glue. And white glue is not reversible, so that means that I need extra humidity and extra heat to soften it. And even when it's softened, it's not something very pliable. It gets very sticky. So, patience is the name of the game here. You also need to heat your spatula and then slowly get the tool into the bridge to separate it from the guitar. With normal glue, you can feel how it detaches. It never gets loose, actually. It's always tending to be glued again. This is one of the jobs in the guitar making that makes the difference. I made this kind of job hundreds of times. The point is that you don't actually know what's between the bridge and the top of the guitar, how it is attached. In some cases, you even find some metal screws, even if you look underneath the guitar. You also need to take care of the surroundings, in this case, the varnish, but the pickguard that is really close to the bridge. If you don't apply the exact amount of heat and humidity, you can detach the pickguards well. Or maybe the varnish gets compromised somehow. And what is a relatively easy job becomes a full nightmare. But if everything goes well, then you have your bridge. Nice job, Carlos. Now it's time for a little inspection of the bridge. These pieces of wood here, they are broke. And for me, this is not the end of the game. There are two pins for registration. If we take a closer look, we can see this shiny part here. This is glue that has never been attached to the top of the guitar. All of this that looks rough is where the blade comes in and cut from one side to the other. So all of this was never attached to the guitar. And it goes as deep as this, but more warmly it goes through the holes of the strings, and you can see here this was never very attached to the guitar. So that means that the bridge and the top of the guitar weren't never sand flat to each other, so the glue never get into the two surfaces at the same time. Here in the guitar we can see a few interesting things. Like, for example, the hole that we saw earlier with the mirror. Well, it's just a hole, nothing functional here. This one is for the pins, for the registration. This one is also for the pins. And there is something written here. I don't know what it is. And also the spots where the glue never made it properly. Now it's time to remove the nut. And first of all, I used a razor blade and I mark all the perimeter of the nut. This helps to the varnish to stay in place and not be removed with the nut. One can say that these cuts are just safety measure to avoid future damage with the varnish. From there, it's just about gently tapping the nut out of the gap. And again, this needs a lot of experience. Finally, you can feel if by tapping the nut is getting loose or not. And if you are doing right, then you have it. And by no means, some cleaning has to be done here in the gap. Now that the bridge and the nut are gone, I can use my sanding beam to level the frets without worrying to scratch anything. For that, first of all, I need to make sure that the neck is as straight as possible. A simple way to do that is just using the sanding beam as a template. You just leave it there and check if you have a gap in here. That means that the neck is straight or with a lot of bow. So if you check in both sides, yeah, I can feel that the beam has a little bit of balance. That means that this truss rod is super tight. So I just need to loosen it a little bit and it's good to go. Then it's time to mark all the threads with some vibrant color like red, for example. That is going to help to see if you are actually sanding the threads or not. You can clearly see where the sanding has been a little bit more aggressive and where it was not. Even you can see the final spots because you don't want to go all the way down. You just want to eat as less as possible. This is it. Now that the neck is sound, I can come back to the bridge. First of all, I'm going to clean it. The white stuff is sticky, even when it's dry. So I'm going to try and scrape it using my chisels. There's a reason why I try to make this dry, just scraping it. It's because I would like this to be finished today. I mean, to glue the bridge to the guitar today. If I add moisture here, then I have to wait for the moisture to get dry again. So I have to wait for a couple of days maybe to glue the bridge in place. But the scraping is being very tough and I think I need a lot of moisture to soften this white glue. This is my arch enemy. Now that it's clean, I can start sanding it. It's very important to use the flat surface, because a flat bridge is what you want. So I started with kind of 80 grit and going my way up to 220, and that is just enough. There is no need to go farther in the sanding. So now that the bottom of the bridge is flat, I can move on and do what I wanted to do from the beginning, which is to lower a little bit the overall height of the bridge. That way the saddle is going to be also lower, and so it's going to be the action of the overall action of the guitar. First of all, I take some measurements, as you saw me earlier. That way I know where I am and where I want to go. Measuring everything, it just makes me feel more confident with the job at hand. Then it's time to use the chisels to eat wood. Steady but slowly. This bridge here is not something that Yamaha made just for this model of guitars. It's just a regular bridge, and you can find it everywhere. You may think that guitars are designed with these little nuances in mind, but believe me, it's not the case. Using this off-the-shelf bridge, the guitar just gets cheaper, so they go with it. And they don't mind if the bridge is with the correct height or not. It's just for the value of the guitar, okay for them. So it goes. So this problem that we are solving here is not something particular for this Yamaha guitar. You can see this problem in a lot of guitars and a lot of brands. And even if you pay the price for the guitar, this may be the case that the bridge is not in the correct height. It's not uncommon even in high-end guitars. But with a little bit of patience, you can see I just eat what I wanted. And now I have the bridge that I like to have. Then, of course, it's all about sanding. Always sanding in lutherie. And in this case, I've removed the little varnish that these bridges have on it. And it's going to be natural wood from now on. It's time to clean the top of the guitar, but first I'd like to show you something. Look, if I place the bridge using the pins as registers, then I can mark the perimeter of the bridge like this. And if I remove the bridge again and you take a closer look, you can see all these edges around the bridge, which is with varnish on. Maybe now you can see better. This line is with the varnish, it's just like the finish of the guitar. And this is raw wood, well, with the glue, but it's raw wood. And the same goes in the other side. Probably here is happening the same. That means that when the bridge is glued, it's impossible to the glue to really stick one side to the other, because this is actuating like a separator, let's say, for both sides to be really tight. So what I'm going to do now is to mark the whole perimeter and remove the varnish from everywhere I need to. Now that I have the perimeter of the bridge, I can start cleaning it. And you know the formula: humidity, heat, patience. This description here is already unreadable, but I'm going to take a photo anyway, just in case. But unfortunately, it's going to go. After all the cleaning with the moisture and the heat, it's time to let it sit overnight. I'm going to do something in my benefit for tomorrow. It's just use this piece of wood and this cloth to try to rectify the little bow that the top of the guitar has. Not only that, but this is going to give me some kind of flavor of how I'm going to glue the bridge in place. Finally, I'm about to glue the bridge in place, but first I'd like to show you something. Do you see this dark spot here? This is because this is not one piece of spruce. This top is laminated. So this here is the second layer of the lamination. You can see the grain is going this way in the spruce and that way in the other layer that I don't know what it is. All I need to do now is to clean the holes because I'm going to use them for registration. And even this one, I'm going to clean it. And I think, because this is something that I've never seen before, I think this is for the excess of the glue. In any case, I just place a towel underneath to take the excess of the glue and see if this makes its job. I have everything I need set and ready, and let's go for it. After all the sanding, I'm just making some marks. In the guitar and on the bridge, just to help the glue to stick a little bit better. And I can start applying it. This is not regular tight bond, it's like tight bond 3 with a stronger adhesion, and it's perfect for the job. I would like to use hide glue, the one that I cook myself, but the thing with hide glue is that you have to cook it for some days, because the one that is already sold, ready to use, is not strong enough. But I didn't have the spare time to prepare the hide glue. But this is going to make an awesome job anyway. I mean, it's in the context. You know, if this guitar was fully made with hide glue, I definitely go with it. Take my time to cook it properly, test it, but I'm quite sure that there is no hide glue in this guitar anywhere. You want a thin layer of glue, not too much, not too little. I made my rehearsal, so now I know exactly what I have to do. And it is important to rehearsal. I do it every time, no matter how many bridges I glued in place. I always rehearsal before applying the glue, because every time you glue a bridge in place, it has its nuances. Maybe there is something below the top that is in the way. You can use your regular clamps or whatever, and you only have one chance. I mean, you can repeat all the process that you have seen so far, but if you can avoid it, Using the right amount of glue is important because that way you avoid the piece sliding when you are clamping it. I'm not going to clean this residue of glue because I know this kind of Type 1-3 that I use, it shrinks over time. So I'm going to clean it later when it's dry. It's been setting dry for more than 24 hours, so I think it's about time to unclamp it. This is always an exciting moment. No cracking noises so far, and that's important. If you hear a crack, most of the time it's because something is broken. It's looking pretty good actually. You can see the edges with the tape and the glue, but as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to let it there for the glue to shrink. This is risky business, so you better don't try it at home. The final touch is to apply a little bit of brown shellac, just right to the edge, where the wood and the varnish start to be a little bit more clear. This is just for retouching. Honestly, I think that this is as good as this can be, considering that the bridge was first detached, then re-glued, then detached again, and then glued in place. And not even the pickguard has been detached from the heat and the humidity during the process. So, you know what? If it's some hairline scar, I'm really pleased with it. I mean, this is going to stay here forever. And that's the point of all of this. I'm not done with the bridge yet, but it's time to focus in other part of the guitar. It's time to work on the nut and I need to clean all the residue. This is very dirty, so I'm assuming that somebody else has removed the nut before. Now that everything is clean, I can try to fit my new nut. This is looking promising. I've just marked the gaps on the original saddle just for you to see better. The files that I'm using here, you can find them in your regular store. They are very specialized tools, so you have to look for them in specialized shops. These files have a very specific width, and it's measured in imperial. That way you can match the gap with the gauge of the string. But the trick is to be a little bit wider than the string. You know, the intonation problems in guitars are basically done here in the nut. So it's very important for the string to run smooth over it. It is also very important for the total resonation of the guitar. So if the string is half embedded into the nut and half over it, that helps to the vibration of the string to go even farther from the neck to the headstock, and giving an overall better resonance for the whole instrument. The nut is not finished yet, but is ready to be done in the final stages of the setup of the guitar. So now I can turn my attention into the saddle, which I'm going to do the same, which is to make a rough form of the shape that I wanted and the height that I wanted for it to have. So as you can see, the first thing that I do is to preset the total length of the saddle. I want it to be completely flat against the bridge. Then I took my tools to measure the radius of the fretboard to match with the saddle. In this case is 12 inches, which is very common for these styles of guitars. Then that radius is used in the saddle, and then you can file the saddle into a rough shape.
Let's make the final adjustment for the pins. This one is the pin that was used originally, and this is the one that we are going to use now. It's made from ebony. Overall, I just avoid to use plastic as far as I can. So the first thing that I have to do is to open the hole to accept the pin, and there is no need for this to be tight. This union here can be a little bit loose. Can you hear it? That is too tight. The string is actually not kept in place by the downforce of the pin. The pin actually gets twisted like this. And because of the ball of the string, that is what makes everything to stay in place. You see? That's more than enough. So with these marks I can repeat in the other 6 holes and everything will be perfect.
So that's how it's done. That's the way to match the holes of the bridge to the diameter of the pins. And it's important to keep the pins numbered so they can go exactly where they were fitted for. And here we have 2 important details that I like to look up in my job. even knowing that nobody else is going to look at them ever. And first of all, you have seen me applying oil into the groove for the saddle, and now I'm sanding the interior of the bridge. I know anybody is going to look at that, but it is important for me if anybody in, I don't know, 20 years is going to inspect this guitar and see a clean job underneath. And now is the moment of truth. Is the moment when you see if your hard work pays check. First with the saddle, making the final height. In that case, you just need to take care of the 6 and 1 string, because as the radius of the saddle matches the radius of the necks, all the rest of the strings are going to be exactly what they should. But the nut is another story. You have to do it string by string and filing them into its final height one by one. There is no shortcut for that, but if you do it properly, it pays the price. And then, well, final cleaning and everything is done. All the problems are solved, and honestly, I think that the guitar looks better than ever. And as a luthier, I can say that if you're happy with your job, it's very likely that your client is going to be as well.
Now if I use the ruler again, you see, it goes higher than the bridge, touching the saddle.
And here I'd like to show you the overall action of the guitar, both in imperial and in metric, in the 1st and the 6th string. And as you can see, it's pretty low. And then, let's play. I hope you enjoyed this adventure with me, and if you do, please consider subscribe and even become a patron. I'd like to read all your comments down below. Thanks a lot and see you next time. Bye.